Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 331, I'm very lucky, privileged to have Erin Andrea Craske on the podcast. He is a transformational partner, executive coach, business advisor, educator, author, creator, and she is a little bit of a rebel at heart. How are you today, my lady? How are you today?
Wow. First of all, thank you for having me. Secondly, I thought it was good, but after your introduction, I don't really know. I'm so confused.
Ah,
Right. Okay. So taking deep breath, deep
mhm.
breath.
See, I'm taking a one more
Yeah. Uh,
breath. Yeah.
Concentration. I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Excellent, excellent. I have to ask, with regards to being a transformational coach, executive coach, but all of these things, a business advisor, educator, author, creator, and rebel, how do these all exist in one person, such as yourself?
Wow. You see, I'm still surviving.
Yes, I can see that. But yeah.
No, but in reality, it's just a very fancy title for LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Because there are many different facets to what I do, like author, just because I wrote a published book, a
Yes.
strategy book, educator, again, because through the book, I was trying to educate people on how to build better business, more profitable and more sustainable. And
Hmm.
strategy is one of the pillars. So you can, presume that I'm educating people also through coaching, although pure coaching is about asking questions. I mean, I'm just trying to simplify it, right? So you're
Hmm.
not supposed to consult, you're not supposed to give advice. In reality, when you describe the concept, even when you ask questions, I believe it's easier for the person to perceive what I'm talking about when they understand the concept of what I'm talking about. I don't know, such as freedom,
Hmm.
whatever. It's just the first word that came to mind. And when you explain it, you already immediately become an educator, right? So it's not like there's so many different people, just living in me. I'm kind of, yeah, stable, mentally stable. But there are many things that you do when you try to support the person, along their transformation process. So hence so many fancy titles. But you can call me whatever you please. I'm not going to be offended.
Oh no, Aaron. No, like this is the thing. Like this, the reason why I say this is okay. There are, with regards to some of the things you do, they are complementary to each other and they interlinked
Yeah.
quite well. But then there's other things which, like, okay, if you've got that rebel side in you, it's going to sort of jar against like some sort of conventional norms, I would imagine.
Yeah. So, yeah, the rebel thing I don't really put on my LinkedIn profile.
Hmm.
I put it when I approach podcasts because I'm just trying to be a little bit more provocative and grab your attention. But apart from that, it doesn't mean that kind of you're odd. Yeah, it does mean that you're odd. But at the same time, it's more about not thinking conventionally, not accepting the norms, not accepting the rules as they explained to you since you're a child and then throughout your life. So that's what's rebels for me. Just I'm living by my own rules that are comfortable to me. And in many cases, they're much more ethical, that you would expect from society at large, but it just makes me comfortable because I just walk my own path.
Yeah. It like walking one's own path. Like I find people who tend to do that, it is a harder thing to do because it's easier to follow the path of many a person who's gone before you to like find the way and then to basically have that discipline, that conviction to stick to it and must be a tall order, you know?
It's a very good observation. You know what? Actually, I thought about it, and even in my kind of media question and answer sheet, I
Mm,
also covered it. It's like it's not for faint-hearted, or it's like a lifelong challenge. But I thought about it recently, and I stopped thinking that it's like that. I explain you where it's coming from. I believe the most challenging part is to accept you for who you are,
mm,
right? So when you hear what you're supposed to do according to society, and you so decide that it doesn't work for you, then becomes kind of really period of misfitting. You're still trying to be like everybody else, but you realize that inside it doesn't really work for you. And here, that is the most challenging, because you either will choose the path of fitting in because it's perceived as safest,
yes.
or you choose a different direction and you decide, you know what, I'm going to be myself. So once you choose the second one, and even though it sounds scary, in reality, it is not. Because what actually happens, first, you accept yourself for who you are. And
Hmm.
that is amazing, because we all need to live. And I know I'm not supposed to say need, but it's much better to live from the place of self acceptance, right? When you are in relational harmony with yourself, your thinking, and your behavior, right? So it already makes your life so much easier. And then from this place, when you live in harmony, you start attracting different people, you
Mm,
start attracting different relationship. So it doesn't mean that once you decide to go your own way that you immediately become lonely. No, you surround yourself with different people, and it's becomes much more meaningful. It's like you find your tribe, from the place of your pure authenticity. So, and this is why I would argue that it's not that challenging. You create your own world, at least in my way. I created my own world where I feel so comfortable, and something that I won't bring or show other people, that it is possible. It is possible to live from the place of effortlessness, but
mm.
it's easy. It just
Yeah,
just make the switch. Make the switch. That's gonna take a bit of courage.
yeah. Well, this is my thing, and this is why I like push back a little bit on that, because you
Yeah,
say it's easy. It's one of those things where, okay, yes, saying change, it is easy. Like you change your life, you change your way, you build this network of people
yeah,
around you, good, bold, like you know what I mean. This trial and like depending on the person and their sort of characteristics. Because look, there are some people who are more forthcoming, there are some people who are more withdrawn, and trying to sort of build those connections, even though like we're speaking to each other over the glorious internet right now, quite easily, it trying to like tell that person to like, yeah, just build a network of just two people or one person
hmm.
to help you grow can be quite immensely challenging. Uh, and helping them overcome that, that must be a task and a half.
What would you call challenging?
Oh, basically, like it's a case of with regards to their comfort zone. It like if you got someone who
Mhm.
is a very sort of withdrawn person, yeah, going out and telling them to like meet or build a network or just make those connections is going to be
Mhm.
like their Everest in some regards. To someone who's like outgoing and open, it's not like you know what I mean. They might have a million one different people they might know, but the depth of those relationships to go forward might be no deeper than a puddle. And find
Right. Okay. I guess there were two questions or 2 points that you were making, and just let me
yeah,
try to reflect on both and let me know if I'm wrong. So the first one was about change, and that it is challenging altogether,
yeah,
especially in the context that we're talking about at the moment.
mm,
The point is that any change is challenging, right? Okay, here we're talking transformation, we're talking a really big one,
mm,
right? But in reality, any change that you decide to implement is going to be a challenge. There are different mechanisms behind, implementing a change, such as your motivation to start with, and also your belief that you will succeed, right? So if you don't have this belief, many people won't even attempt to change naturally because it's just scary. You don't know what's going to be behind it, after you cross this path. So that's one thing. And the second thing, about introversion, extroversion, I guess, just if I chunk it.
Please
Uh,
do.
so, well, to start with, I'm a severe introvert. Just so you know,
She's lying, people. She's lying.
I never lie. I never lie because then I will forget about what I lied. I'm going to put myself in a really bad situation. So I prefer not to lie, not to embarrass myself.
Mhm.
Um, but what I was trying to say, you're coming from a conventional, I guess, understanding of this is the personality, and now I suggest that you go and look for your tribe, if I understood you correctly. But in reality, when you go through transformation, your personality becomes different. So imagine that you live in comfort with yourself, in peace. Whatever you do, whatever you think, it doesn't disturb you. So even if you go and look for your tribe, you don't have this preconceived ideas about how they're going to perceive me. Will I find the right person? What if they don't understand me? Because all that becomes irrelevant because your peace within is so undisturbed, that it really stops mattering. So I don't know if I make any sense. And if this is what you were asking.
No, like this is the thing. I get, like, what I mean. When you like, yes, the change, like the active change you put in your life will lead eventually to the tribe of people which will like surround you and join you.
Yeah,
I was basically saying there are many people who will listen to what you've said and go, yeah, finding your like that active change, that sort of whole like prospect might be painful for them, and they won't
yeah,
actually necessarily engage. I agree with you with regards to change is hard, like long lasting change. It's a case of letting go of like in some cases of everything everything what
yeah,
made you you
exactly.
will,
Yeah,
like then move into this next stage to like go, okay, right. And this is not always supported by the closest and nearest people to you because, like, yeah, it comes from a place of fear and love, and basically a case of sometimes spotlighting some of the downfalls and shortcomings of what lives within those people around you, you know?
you're 100% correct. I don't even have anything to add to it because you are spot on. Everything that you're saying is exactly what people are fearful of. And those are exactly potential consequences, that the person gonna face. But again, the question is, I guess, the assumption or presumption of our conversation that the change is beneficial, and it's recommended for people to go through it. In reality, if you take a coach stance,
Yes.
everybody decides for themselves. There's no such thing as recommendation. I can't decide for you. I can't even recommend you attempt it, because it must be your will. If you want to do it, but if you want to do it, which means that inside, deep inside, you're ready, and you all need just a guiding light. Somebody who supports you, encourages you, so you don't feel lost, you don't feel alone. Throughout this transformation, because what's going to be at the end of it? Trust
Mm,
me, it's amazing. It feels totally different from whatever you can experience, right? But I can't force you. I can't even suggest that you make the first step if you're not ready. There's no point, right? So this is why, kind of, when we were discussing such deep things, and thank you for fantastic conversation for the topic, we need, I guess, to be mindful of people that we're referring to
mhm.
again. So it's not like everybody. So yeah,
Oh no, like this is the thing. I would say with regards to change, I think like people fall into the trap that I need to change. I need to change, but it's I think they are a little bit misguided with regards to that. And you know, what I mean, you most probably have. Well, you're a coach. You've experienced this a hell of a lot more than me. You know, what I mean, humble podcaster that I am, milady. you know.
you know what? It's actually it's very again, it's a very valid point because And I'm pretty sure that you talk to many coaches, and they would say pretty much exactly the same thing. So I'm not original by any means. But when we say we need to change, my first question is, how do you know about it? Who told you that?
Mm,
Right? Where did you get this idea from that you need to change? Because if you think it from this perspective, what often happens is that this idea is not coming from within you. It's coming because you heard that society told you need to change it, because your boss told you that you need to improve, because somebody else told you you need. Yes, it may be that in certain cases this change is going to be beneficial. But the problem is, every time you're telling to yourself that I need to, I should, I should be different, this is how I need to react, or whatever. Unfortunately, these words become showstoppers because it's not coming from you. You're reacting on external environment, which means that your motivation to undergo any type of transformation is going to be limited. And even if you try, even if you attempt to do that, often, and this is something that I'm really strongly advocating against, all these leadership skill courses, because obviously I work with leaders,
yes.
and I don't believe they're sustainable. There's so many reasons behind all these leadership skills, that may actually fade in time, again for different reasons. It's the more theoretical, you have different personalities underneath it, you have different motivation to change because often they're imposed by the company, blah blah blah. So there are really kind of a myriad of reasons why it won't work, or longer
Yeah.
term at least. So, and it's exactly the same conversation. Even if you attempt to change, it doesn't mean that you will be able to sustain it. So that's why, kind of, again, change is not for everybody, and it absolutely must be internally driven.
Mm. No, I hear that, and like what you say, like talk about leadership. Yeah, leadership is like a
Don't,
no,
that's the pain of my life, please.
no, but a very hard thing. Like okay, like because you like for example, if we use like Britain's blah 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 greatest like leader of all time, like they go Winston Churchill. Okay, he was the leader what was needed during
Yeah,
a peacetime came. He was kicked out pretty much immediately because his leadership style didn't fit the circumstance of the time
yeah.
or like place. And came back. He was a different leader when he came back into power. I think many people have an idea of leadership, but leadership is something which comes in many forms, and it's not necessarily right for it's not a cookie cutter thing where you can put it in like this is leadership and away you go because it doesn't work for many people, I imagine.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There's so many different leadership styles, because when I was studying the topic, I was like,
Mm,
seriously, all of them exist? Because in reality, in most cases, the difference between them are going to be tiny,
yeah.
right? But still, you have many styles that may come quite confusing. I have my own, that I'm talking about this effortless leadership, but it's through personal transformation. So I won't go into touch upon it.
Yeah.
So when I used to be a leader, I was combining two styles: humanistic
Mhm.
and or authentic, and transformational, right? And I guess it worked. Well, not okay. We can go into depth of my leadership experience. I guess it's not the point that I was trying to make. And what was the point I was trying to make? Uh,
Oh,
when would wait. I'll try to catch my thought.
okay. Yeah. No worries.
We were talking. I hope you're going to edit it.
I try to keep my edits to a minimum because this is the thing. When I do my podcast, I don't want to edit the podcast too severely because I never want anyone to be taken out of context. I want it to be of like, as you just said, authentic and real. So
Right.
you
Okay.
know,
Here you go. I got my thought. Yes, you have different leadership style. It's fine.
mm,
What I think in certain styles of leadership, what I find a little bit confusing or may not be working for the benefit of organization, I was
Mm.
thinking about it. And where do your business, who drives your business? And in my profitability flow framework, I have 6 pillars, and one of them is people.
Mm.
And for under people, I mean employees, customers, and business partners, external agencies.
Yes.
And in certain leadership styles, or at least what I experienced more often, unfortunately, than anything else, these entities are disregarded. They're not paid attention because it's all about organization, or it's all about the leader, it's all about achieving. But my argument would be, and whatever the organization is achieving, who is driving it? So we can talk about any leadership style,
Hmm.
and all of them are going to be good as long as they respect and appreciate human beings behind the business. And regardless of so many leadership style you can find on the internet, my personal experience says that in 80% of the cases, leaders don't. So that's kind of the oxymoron.
Yeah. Leaders don't. Look, put it this way. I would say, like, depending where, like, I look at the world, and I like when with regards to leadership, and I honestly, it's very rare, so rare to have someone which you like go, that person's an exceptional leader. And when that person is there as a leader, they're normally held on high, and go, this is the sort of standard. This is the gold standard to reach. And I think many people get caught up with that. Say with the world of tech, when Steve Jobs, when he was alive and well, and it was like everyone, that's just like that is the gold example of leadership. Off you go. And it led to a bunch of tech CEOs and stuff like this who are not very nice people, not very good people.
Mhm.
And they like looked at it and go, why isn't it not working for me? Not you're not it's like they didn't look at it and go, you are Duncan, or you are like Tunde. You are not Steve Jobs. Like if you were a leader, well, you are a leader, but how were you led, and what made you connect with that? How did a leader connect with you in the positive ways, rather than us looking at this high gold standard and trying to achieve that, or trying to set a new gold standard for themselves, you know?
Yeah, and this is why I was talking, this is why I was saying that good leader, that's my humble opinion, but
Mm,
good leader would appreciate that the business is driven by people, and it's a matter of connecting with these people. It's not about like, when I was looking for a job, it's like everybody was offering gym membership and beers on Fridays, Saturdays. It's like people don't drink enough, right? Let's offer more beers. But it's not what I mean under appreciating humans.
yeah.
Appreciating their values and appreciating their contribution, appreciating their needs, appreciating their wants. Because when you make this first step towards people, they will pay you back. How many articles? It's absolutely incredible. It's hiring the best employees, what we're going to do about the retention, all
Mm,
about quiet quitting, or it's a disengagement, how we'll increase engagement. Honestly, just check out your leadership style. Check out how comfortable people are in your organization. Do they willingly want to contribute?
mm,
If they want to work with you, if they want to contribute to the business because they feel affiliation, you know, then I don't believe that you will even face questions about engagement, disengagement, or retention. So that's a question how deep you want to go, because whatever we do often in the society, it's very much at the level of symptoms,
Yes.
We try to fix symptoms here and there. It comes to leadership, it comes to business. Oh, let's check our tactics. Let's look at our return of investment. Right? It goes even into healthcare. Let's treat the symptoms, and only when it becomes severe, let's see on the systemic issues. And so it's underneath these symptoms that often it happens quite often. And the same for me in leadership. Let's try to engage people with something. Let's try to go through whatever course. Why not look at the systemic and say, okay, what's wrong fundamentally with what's happening? And this is this is something that links back to authenticity that we started our conversation with,
Yeah.
because looking at the systemic issues, actually, it is scary because it means that something's maybe fundamentally wrong and you need to address it. Oh, and that's a bugger, right?
Uh,
So that is not easy. Let's offer beer on Thursday and Fridays too. Instead, gonna be more fun. So yeah, that's my argument on
no,
this.
like no, because like this is the thing. I agree with you. Like with regards to like, okay, if it was about our health or a condition, it's better to like, yes, be like, eat healthily, work out, take care of, like, get your 8 9 hours sleep, take and before like having to go to the hospital and then like, yeah, receive the treatment
Hmm.
to get you to the cure, because the treatment can be just nothing more than a spoonful of medicine,
Yeah,
helps like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, to something more severe. And I think with regards to many cases of leadership, it's a case of, yeah, everything needs to go wrong. Everything needs to go wrong, and we'll go in for the quote unquote cure. But like it comes down to like, if they haven't sort of taken care of the sort of fundamentals, they will cut out whoever that leader is, treating them like some form of cancer, and when that's taking care of that, but it's still there, and the rot deepens and it gets deeper and deeper and never sort of moves on. And I think that's in many sort of realms of like the executive life. No one act like, I don't think many people are getting that with many companies these days. I could be wrong. You might know a company which is doing the right thing. Please, if you do, let me know.
I don't know such companies, unfortunately. I know such leaders. I was lucky throughout my whatever years, in
Mm,
corporate environment. I had four leaders that were massive aspiration, and they were an indication to me that it's possible to lead in a different way. Okay, they were more like transformational leaders. It's fine. It's still corporate environment. We're not talking mindfulness or humanism,
mhm.
but they had this touch of respect and appreciation and belief in their teams. So teams were put in an environment where they can grow, where they could contribute willingly, where they felt safe to contribute. That is very important. So, again, I don't know the organization, because what also happens, and there's something that I paid attention to when I was kind of preparing for all these conversations, and I thought, hey, this is interesting. Because when you work in a big corporate, typically what happens, we all go through exactly the same leadership skills training.
Mm,
It's the same provider, the same curriculum. And then we all have assessment criteria. You know that you're being assessed on your leadership skills and on your technical skills separately. So, blah, blah, blah. What is interesting that we all go through the same thing. We are being assessed against the same criteria, and everybody appears to be a different leader. And sometimes you have fantastic guys, and then they go through promotion, they change the market, and then you get somebody else again through exactly the same educational background, and it
mm,
becomes a nightmare. There's so much ego. There's so much authority. There's so much because I told you that, you know, that the whole dynamic changes. So if under one leader, you can challenge, you
yeah.
can grow. Under another leader, you have to be politically correct and shut up. So so this is why I'm saying that there's no such thing as organization, because even within an organization, with the succession plan, you're going to have different leaders that are going to create totally different ambience. And that I found quite fascinating.
No, I hear you. I hear you. And oh, I like the use of the word ambience there. But yeah, brilliant. Now, now this is the thing with all of this, like so much going on with regards to okay, people want to transform, coach, leadership, everything like this. Like, what would you say? Is there a sort of like typical theme that people come up to you and I want to be coached, I want to like transform? Uh, what are some of their like? What are one or two key motivations you have found being typical?
Right. You know what? That is a very good question, because in reality, I never had anybody who came and said, you know what, I want to change my self concept.
Mm,
That would be like my dream coming true, but it doesn't really happen. People come with all different challenges.
yeah.
Right, it can be around leadership, it can be about confidence, it may be about decision making. And this is why, earlier I referred to the concept of symptoms and systemic issues,
Hmm.
because what actually I found out is that usually what happens, you have a multitude, well, many, symptoms on top. They can be all different, but what happens usually, they all go, to the same one issue deep inside. So what different coaches offer, some of them work on these behavioral, say, symptoms.
Yeah.
Transformational coaches go beyond it, and because all of them usually come to pretty much the same thing, what happens when you transform the thing from within,
Yes.
you will get an effect on all the symptoms on top. So you have a choice. And this is what I always offer. You have a choice. We can treat this one separately. Then you're going to be fine for a while. Then you come up, you're going to be a different one. So let's spend more money and treat this one separately. Then let's
Mhm.
treat another one if you enjoy working with me. Again, it's not guaranteed. There's no people for everybody. You always choose the right person for yourself. Or we can go deep, we can fix or improve or elevate, whatever is the politically correct word is, something that may not be functioning properly as it was intended by the God,
Mm,
right, within you. And then you're going to have a ripple effect. All these symptoms that you talked about, they're all going to be removed or at least diminished, or again, whatever the word a person chooses. Because again, I don't believe, although I said the word fix, I don't believe anybody needs fixing, right? Because we are not broken. We are just, I guess, lost and forgot about how powerful we're meant to be.
mm,
So it's not about fixing, it's about discovering this inner confidence, inner greatness, that for whatever reason, we decided that we're not it. We decided that we're little, that we are shy, we're not confident, we're this, we experience that, so we're suffering. It's not. We are amazing inside. So it's just a matter of uncovering this greatness you have within. So to answer your question, was a longer. It's amazing I haven't got lost in my own answer. Like, okay, right, keep on talking. Well, I'm saying that the issues can be different, and most leaders gonna come, with the same set of issues. But then the question is, are they ready? Are they willing to make an extra step, and to look beyond the symptom that they have identified, and to address it, remove it as something that is blocking their progress. Because if they do, the transformation will affect not only their business and their leadership skills and their teams, but also going to affect their relationship with their family. Because
mm.
if you change from within and you remove everything that doesn't make you really like the person you always wanted to be, can you imagine the effect it's going to have on all people around you? So that's what I do.
Yeah. No, I see. Like, to me, what you're saying, like being like when you're doing the transformation coaching, you're basically letting people be able to face their true self, because the truth is always a hard, like, the truth can be beautiful. It could be wonderful and everything like this. You look at it, but the truth can also be painful and ugly. And that, you know what I mean? When we look, we can look at one of like our true selves with one eye and go, oh, I can't see any of that ugliness or that pain there. But being able to look at your whole self truthfully is the thing what can help set them free and transform.
This is the thing, because I experienced it. Again, I don't preach anything that I haven't lived myself, I haven't experienced. This is the thing. I just thought about it when you talk. Actually, that was an insight. Thank you so much. Because when we're afraid of discovering something about ourselves that we don't like,
Mm.
these are not ourselves.
Who are they then?
This is what we became. So, how would I explain it? It's very difficult to explain it without telling my story, and I'm not particularly keen on kind of telling everybody the transformation I went through, although it seems like it becomes a must. But basically, underneath what we think about ourselves, what would be a good example? I don't know, that I realized that I don't care enough about my wife. I didn't want to accept it, right? But now I'm looking back inside, and yeah, I'm not the most blah blah blah. So I don't feel comfortable about it. But the point is that you can remove it. If you always remember that underneath you have an amazing, powerful, capable individual that is a good person by definition. We have so many layers on top of what is our core. So when you look at this, like, oh my god, yeah, I don't like what I see. Look through it, look behind it. Don't get um scared. Okay, I don't like it, I'll better back off. No, this is my layer. I don't like it, I will remove the layer. Right, so you have totally different mentality. Underneath, you're much better, and it's easy to remove everything that you don't like about yourself. How does it sound?
Oh, it sounds good, because like this is the thing, like I would say when it comes to people and their sort of like their true selves, the many layers which sort of live within them, you could say the many sides of their faces as well, because like what you are to me as a professional coach, as you sit here, is totally different to like, yeah, what a loved one would see or what a
Yeah,
coworker would see.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with all of that, I think a number of people are like, because they've put on so many faces and everything like this, and they don't look at who their true face is. That's the thing. What still holds them back. As I say, it comes from a place of beauty and fear, and like, you know what I mean, like, and the ugly as well. But I think the if people can really sort of tackle their ugly side, tackle their fearful side, I think that's when, like, because it's easy to deal with beauty and like, yeah, the joyful love side of yourself. If you can sort of resolve many a thing by that, by looking at that, not sort of turning away, and Lord knows. I'm not perfect at doing that, Lord. There, you know what I mean? I look at myself and I say, yeah, there. And it's like, look there. It's like, you know what I mean? The state of like uncomfortableness kicks in, and like, yeah, twinges of fear kick in. But I know, like, if you spoke to me when I was a much, much younger man, like, you know what I mean? That sort of side of me would be locked away by behind many sort of walls and stuff like this. I will not see, like, I will not look at it and will not see it, because that's the way of like, yay, I'm over here. But time for myself, I've looked at it, and bit by bit, you know what I mean, confronting and looking at one's fear, confronting and like looking at one's ugliness within makes you stronger at the end of the day. That's for me personally. Some other people might, you know what I mean. It might be a totally different thing, you know.
It's a very good point because, facing any truth and
Mm,
accepting this truth or disaccepting and kind of not accepting and working on it, it's for strong people. It's like, this famous argument about men being vulnerable, and they
yes,
can't be vulnerable because perceived as weakness. And you know the argument, right?
yeah. Like, look, this is the thing with regards to men being vulnerable and stuff like this. I think in like, yeah, depending what you're doing, what the circumstances are, there are times where if if you're the last person on the line, you're the last person on the line. You can't let go. You've got to be in that state of mind to face and confront whatever life is throwing at you. Circumstances change, you can now let go of what you've been doing because you're not
Okay.
in.
But even if when you're facing adverse circumstances and you
Mhm.
have to lead and shield whoever is behind you,
Yeah.
can you allow to yourself to be vulnerable by yourself in solitude when you're not facing it? But can you allow yourself to accept your feelings? This is what I call vulnerability. I'm not advocating for everybody going down the street and
Mm,
crying hysterically, right? It's not about that. But I just accepting that, you know what? I may not be that strong, or I may be scared, or I may be hurt, whatever, the vulnerable feeling, they're all different for everybody.
mm,
But if you have the courage to accept it instead of pretend that you are Captain America all the way through, you know, this is what I call vulnerability. And this still requires strength and courage to accept that you are human beings.
yeah, but like this is the thing. You mentioned Captain America. Okay, Captain America.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, but Captain America or any superhero, like be that a man or a woman superhero, look, they when they put on the costume, they are that hero. They have to confront and deal with that, like fight the big alien menace, fight whoever the villain of the time
Yeah,
is. When they take off that costume, they're they're their human selves. Like they are like people
yeah.
have to deal with life on a day to day basis. When in that situation, that circumstance, that's when I would say, if like to any guy, like, look, yeah, you're not in that place of action where you need to be the hero, you need to be the one. Yeah, that's when you need to turn and look to your other strengths which are within you to basically have the strength and courage to, like, yeah, you know what, I've been going through X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. Now, the whole thing with, I would say, much of society when it comes to guys and stuff like this, like, yeah, you can't take off the costume because they don't, like, for some people, they won't let you, like, be that. You have to be that superhero alter ego all the time. And if you're having to be in one mode all of the time, it, like, not even being a hero, it is exhausting. You know what I mean?
It's exactly what I wanted to say listening to you. It is just incredibly unhealthy.
Oh yeah.
You are destroying your body and your health from within if you don't give yourself a chance to take off this costume. And
Mm,
people don't, and because they believe, or there's a perception that if I accept that I'm not as perfect or as masculine or as man as I'm
mm,
supposed to be according to whoever's standard, we don't know who created the standard, right? It's just commonly accepted.
yes.
Yeah, but in reality, you're destroying yourself. And men actually, they die much younger than women. Ha ha ha. It's not funny, but it is, the fact that it really happens because I believe that they put themselves in a much more stressful situation and they stay there for much longer.
I think it's one of those things where, yes, I would say, yeah, there are many a man what puts them in that selves in that situation, but like the thing, and this is where, like, I say ladies have that superpower which goes beyond like guys with regards to ladies deal with things in more of a social setting rather than men. Like as each, like I often use like yes, when you're like I often say when you're like when you're in your like late teens, 20s, early 20s, you turn around, you go out and go, yeah, we are legion, and you get a big roar from like your group of friends, and off you go. But as a guy, each decade which goes on by, with regards to like yeah living life, family commitments and everything like this, you might be a single guy running around in your 20s, 30s, 40s, but the people you run with marry, move away, like they might shuffle off this mortal coil. But that sort of connections, like which seem to come easier in school, college, university, become that much harder because like look, as a father of an 18-month old, like knowing what that life is compared to what I was when like yeah it was just me and my missus, or when I was single, I couldn't comprehend the sort of, not the sort of responsibility, but the sort of like time constraints which come with that, because it's no longer like I can just let me just go out. It's like who's taking care of the
Yeah.
child? Oh yeah, I don't have that freedom. And many a man gets more and more isolated where like I would say when it comes to ladies, and you can like from what I've seen, I'm not trying to make a wild generalization, they are better at maintaining and building new sort of social contacts with regards to it all. Like if like yeah, girls get together, and I've seen it work in action many moons ago. Summer camp, first year working as a camp counselor. Everyone was in the pool, playing, having a good time. This was just the counselors, and one by one, all the ladies got out of the pool, just sat down in a collective group, and just started talking. It was just like, yeah, I was like, I was 19 at the time, and that was when I was like, open my eyes to like, okay, that is really different than I've ever seen before. Never seen it happen like that, but it was like, yeah, all got out, sat down, just started talking. And like, I think with as each stage in life, ladies get like, you know what I mean? They have access to groups which help and support, or they seek out.
All right. Three comments, if you don't mind. So the first one, I wouldn't be one of these women. So that's without a shadow of a doubt. Point
Mm,
number two, even if you have a group of women chatting together, it doesn't mean that you're going to create friends or close connections. You
hmm
know, it can be superficial conversation and then they just walk different directions. And the point number three, that is actually interesting. So, according to you, what would make women be most sociable in the context that you just described and men less sociable?
It's honestly, I can't like even till this day, I can't really sort of put my finger on it. I've just like there's this sort of like put it this way, even when like like how can I put it? When I like me and my lady, and like yeah, if one of my friends gets like his lady gets on well with my lady, like there is this immediate sort of like I don't even know what type of percentage jump with the sort of communication and everything like this. I just think when it comes to a social setting, ladies are better at sort of doing collective group socially things. It might be the depth of a puddle, it might not be that deep or meaningful, it might be quite superficial, but when it's like, oh yeah, we need to get together, like if I'm dating and my friends dating and those girls get on, it's immediately like boom. It's like, yeah, I I haven't seen you for weeks. It's like I haven't spoken to you for months. It's like, yeah. And immediately it's like I am like it's like yeah, okay. There's a lot more communication. Just saying. Like, but that's what I've seen. My observation. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, people.
I believe you're true because it sounds like it's a valid observation, and it's not that I was watching groups of people, so I
Mm,
really can't say. But I guess what I wanted to say, it's also possible that it is, and please correct me because I'm not a man, I wouldn't know, but you may give
yeah.
your perspective. May it be that by society's perception, men are not supposed to be that talkative. They are supposed not supposed to make groups because they're supposed to be strong enough to stay by themselves. They are supposed to be more reserved because if they open up their emotions, it means that they're not strong enough as a man. And lots of this bullshit, that we tell ourselves, or boys here from the time they are boys. Is it possible that because you know what, I don't believe that as human beings, men and women are so drastically different. And I don't believe that men don't need this emotional connection. I don't believe that they wouldn't benefit from having, circle of people they feel comfortable with instead of trying to go there by themselves all alone. I
Mm.
think it's just mental health tells us that it's very beneficial.
Now, this is the thing. With regards to connection, we all need connection. Like man, woman, tree,
Yeah.
bubble. We all need that connection. It's just a case of I think the way it manifests that sort of connection is different in a man's realm to a woman's realm because like okay like with regards to like for example back in my younger days like yes going watching the football just like yeah do that
Hmm.
easy enough done no problem with regards to like yeah girls getting together it's like yeah they'll organize brunch and they'll make a like you know what I mean, make a real event of it if it's just the girls getting together or they're doing like yeah. But the sort of like yeah, I think the way for some people, and I'm look, I would not say I'm not the I'm social butterfly of everyone, but I would say even with guys who are better at maintaining and keeping those connections, like if soon as you put in a few degrees of resistance in that, then it's easier for men to fall back than like ladies. I would say even if you put in those sort of degrees of resistance, it's like yeah, because especially when ladies get into the realm of motherhood as well, I need to talk to this, that, like these ladies because we're going through something collectively together
Yeah.
with regards to it. It's like when I was told that yes, like my
And
ladies,
sorry, and when you have children, men have children, don't they go through exactly the same thing collectively together?
it's like it's a yes and no because you got to understand like okay when you're told like when your lady goes up to you and goes we are pregnant it's like you go yes we are you get told the news like yeah like for me like many scenarios went through my head and then the next day it's like I don't feel different it's like I go I'm just like yeah so it's just a case of yeah like the moment you're told like when the lady's like yeah I'm pregnant like the changes have kicked in like the physical and the mental and everything like that for like a guy it's like yeah it's like when you're in the hospital room it's like okay here's your child then it's like the oh shit moment like kicks in it's like you go oh shit there's like right. But from the point you're told until the like baby like arrives not a lot really changes in your life You just got sometimes, like, yeah, depending how the pregnancy goes, is someone who might be whinging a lot more, or just be like a lot chill, or just like going, yeah, if I don't get this particular type of food now, I will kill you. It's like, oh yeah, all three manifest at different times. Who knows? But for guys, it doesn't change immediately. There is that whole thing, and depending on like how invested the guy is, then it's not going to be the same thing. Like you got some guys who are like, yes, blah blah blah. Blah. They know more about pregnancy
Yeah.
than the lady by the end of it. And then there's going to be some guys which are like, okay, like you know what? Just tell me where you need me to stand. And I'll stand there. And that's like, and the whole realm from that position to that position is a vast realm of spectrum. So you can't like it's not like yeah, but like for ladies, like yeah, it's like morning sickness. It kind of is like this. There is a spectrum, but you know what I mean. I would say it's much closer together, and you can find ladies which are going through the same thing at the same times. Look, don't get me wrong. Like yeah, there was many a guy when they're like, going, "Yes, you're going to be a father." That's and all you can hear is the screams. There's a, but there's some guys which don't have that. You know, yeah. That's what I observed. Oh, now I have to look. I'm going to have to ask one last question because time has sadly come to an end. For
Sadly, yeah, that's a good word. I agree.
yeah. Now, with regards to what you would like to do with, say, the next 6 months, where would you like your journey as a transformation coach or a coach to take you, or like your personal journey?
That's a very good question because, first of all, I love the word journey.
Mm,
As I'm saying, I don't set goals because I believe that goals are not very good for our mental health. So I prefer to have a destination, I prefer to have a journey. Another thing, I really don't plan ahead
mm,
for two reasons. The first one, I live in the present and I have no control over the future. Right. So when you plan, often it's kind of attached to expectations. And when you have expectations and you don't heed them,
hmm.
again, it's not good for your mental health. And I'm all about, being healthier, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Another thing about looking to the future is that when I was launching the business and publishing my book, I was setting myself deadlines. It's like this is what I'm supposed to achieve by then, and this is what and even with my uber healthy attitude, I drove myself to burnout 3 times. I had no boss. I just did it by myself because I had a hot, drop deadline that I was supposed to meet, not knowing what exactly, the process is because it was all new to me. And obviously I couldn't meet it. I was pushing so hard. And then for me, it was like, okay, how many times I can do exactly the same mistake and make exactly the same mistake? So this is why, future wise, it's, what I do, I every day I'm trying to achieve excellence, not perfection, excellence. There's a big difference. So I'm trying to do my best, be proud of what I've done and try to make it better next day if I can. And this is what I focus on. With regard to the destination, and oh my God, there's a dream of mine. I found two establishments in China. One is Buddhist and second one is Taoist. And I want to go and study for a good few months or a year.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. I like it. I like it. Ah, ha, ha. Now, you know what? I hope to see you on that journey. I'm not going to be
Yeah.
out there like, in China with you being a Taoist or a Buddhist, but you know what I mean. I'd like to see what you've learned over that
Yeah, I
distance.
would like to experience it, because I'm trying to live in it, but experiencing it like from the masters, being within this environment and living it every day, every minute, I believe it's going to be massively beneficial for me and for my clients later on. So that's why I really want to experience it so badly.
Ah, excellent. Milady, tell the lovely people how they can find you out on the interwebs.
Well, they can find me if they look for me, because that's a prerogative, So they need to want to look for me first. And
Yeah.
there's a website, and I believe that the link gonna be underneath this, recording. There's also on LinkedIn. Please feel free to connect. I'm happy to maintain good connections with many people. And yeah, there's also a few gifts here and there, they're all gonna be underneath. Oh, come on, I share them with you. So we're going to be underneath this recording, and you can pick any gift that smiles at you.
Ah, brilliant, brilliant. Ah, thank you, my lady, for coming on today. It has been
Thank you for inviting me. So much fun. Loved it.
no worries. Ah, brilliant. I like to say thank you to you, my friends, my life warriors, for sticking with us to the end of the show.
Oh yes, thank you for surviving this long.
There you go. You see, surviving this long. No, no, it was a joy. It was a pleasure. Yes. Please stay well, stay safe, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic, be all the positive bees you can be in this world and then some. Have a great day, my friends, my life warriors. Peace. Oh, and we are out.